So hello and welcome everybody to the next chapter of the future of customer service. We are really honored today to have here with us Endre David. He is a founder and CRO of two companies actually, and he's going to talk about that. Conversationals, you can find conversationals at conversationals.nl and Seamly.ai. I am in Santa Cruz, California. Andre is in the Netherlands, not far away from Utrecht right now. So we are having this conversation with all the bits and bytes going under the Atlantic Ocean, I guess. So that's pretty cool about technology. So Andre, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So could you please introduce yourself? Who are you? That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm Endre David, working and living in the Netherlands. Originally half from South America. My mother is Chilean, raised in Spanish as well. But my Spanish has become too rusty to have this conversation in Spanish, unfortunately. But I live indeed 20 kilometers from Utrecht with my wife and my two kids, 9 and 7. And currently it's 5 o'clock, well, 5:15 on Friday afternoon. But
nice. Here, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's amazing. So yeah. Could you let us know about the company, right? Conversationals, and also the story of Seamly and how these two brands coexist.
Yeah. Almost 5 years ago, we started off with Conversationals as a consultancy firm to help organizations in the adoption of self-service platforms. And we did that for quite some big clients. Among the biggest telecom clients in the Netherlands and big energy companies. And during that process, during those implementations, quite often we also suggested how they could enhance their either interfaces or even integrations with the chatbot that was just introduced. But most of the times, our clients struggled with the actual creation of those suggested optimizations. So what we initially, or at the end of what we ended up doing, is that first we built those integrations as a fully custom work for our clients, and we did that two other times as well. And then we thought, hey, maybe we should productize this. And then we developed and introduced our own conversational presentation and integration layer, which is called Seamly.ai.
Wow, so it's that's a story about productization, right? They're going and saying, okay, I'm building this custom work for customer number 1, then customer number 2, customer number 3, and then you say, wait a minute, I'm kind of doing this, not the same, but kind of the same. So let's put that together into a platform that actually will be able to reproduce and scale. That's lovely, and the story sounds familiar to me because we at Inventa as well, we started as a consulting business doing custom work, and kind of a similar thing is like, hey, we are doing the same thing over and over again. Let's have our computational linguists work together and create a superior engine that that will work as for natural language processing. So that's amazing. So if you take Conversationals, I'm assuming that Conversationals still is doing consulting and working for customers as professional services, right? So what is the typical problem that you guys solve for your customers?
Well, the biggest problems and the biggest issues that our customers are facing is that in the last recent years, most of our clients have bought quite some new technologies and introduced quite a lot of new technologies, but they're hardly able to actually make the biggest benefit of the best use of those platforms that have been introduced. So that's one element. Make sure that all these solutions that are in place, that they can actually work better together. The second aspect that we help our clients with is that we offer great user experiences, fully in the look and feel, fully in conversational interfaces that are fully in the look and feel of clients like DHL, for instance, or our banks or in insurance companies that we have as clients. And thirdly, if we have integrations in the if we have integrated so many solutions, and if we have great conversational interfaces, what we then do is that from those conversational interfaces, we make sure that we offer single and seamless conversations, even though a user might switch from one system to the other. The user isn't bothered with that, and all these systems work seamlessly together. And the last reason and solution that we help our clients with is that we actually help them speed up their innovation process, and not creating the necessity for them that each, well, let's say, feature or innovation should be specified, built, and maintained by themselves. But, well, I can say that we work for the biggest and the best North European cases. So if you want to, so our clients, if they actually get the benefit of the being in the front runner with that as well.
Nice. So all this conversational AI, right? It's great. You can buy, there are dozens and probably hundreds of different platforms to choose from, but there is a common feature here. Is like they say, it's like, okay, this is the tool, so you, Mr. Customer, now can build your dialogue or your conversational strategy, and that's something that it's peculiar. It's not just writing just content. It's not programming like in a programming language. It's something specific, right? So every customer that I know needs help on that and trying to understand the nuances behind that. And sometimes, Andre, they ask me, hey, what's the kind of a profile that we need to hire in order to implement all that? What I'm going to say is like, well, call conversationals. They'll do it for you. But then, how would you describe the skill of the professionals that build conversationals AI?
Well, if you look at conversational copywriters, then I think that there are a couple of elements that have to be included in that role. Of course, you need vision on how to create an identity and how to use that identity in conversational copywriting to the max. Secondly, I think that there is a big challenge that you also need to have the ability to transform, well, let's say, company information or procedures or processes into bits and pieces that are easy to understand and can even be used in a dialogue, in a dialogue way of interaction, rather than just a lot of content placing that on one screen. And the second or the third element that I see as a requirement is that you need to have colleagues that are really enthusiastic about user experience. And what happens if a user says A? Does he get a right response? What happens if the user in a flow wishes to go for another flow or submits input that wasn't expected? So I think those are the three elements. It's more like, well, creativeness, being able to use company data and procedures, and having a really good eye for details.
Wow, I think you nailed it. That's exactly the kind of skills needed, right, for that. And we call this role sometimes bot master, right? We use the time, I don't know, I think it was the 90s already, when they would call the webmaster was the person who would create the website. Now it's entire teams or companies, right? But we call it bot master, and it's amazing the kind of specialization that you guys have been building around that. I've been poking around your website, conversationals.nl is amazing, and I've seen then you have an important aspect of that is working with partners and partnerships. So I would love to know what is your vision about these technology partners that you work with.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at those partnerships, they're mainly, those partnerships are all focused on technology companies that really want to exceed in what they're doing. So if you look at if you look at your organization, for instance, trying to build the best conversational platform and and achieving quite a lot in that, but not but from that side also realizing yourself in that is your expertise. And just like that, there are tons of really great live chat applications. And what we've seen is that where there's a gap that can be bridged for our clients is that if we bring those two together in a really good, in really great interfaces, for instance. So all our partnerships are based on the fact working with organizations that are focusing in doing the best that they're offering, and realizing the best possible results in that. And based on that, we work quite a lot with, well, of course, with you, but also with platforms like Genesys or Avaya or LivePerson or even Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics, for instance, or, well, customer feedback solutions. And these examples are quite some different examples, but then we always make sure that if a user starts a conversation, that from that one conversation, you can go from a chatbot conversation to a live chat agent, or even possibly changing your content details in the backend of a company without having to, well, switch in screens or in journeys or in start over again.
Oh, yes. And one of the things that I seen you guys doing is, for example, right, integrating conversational AI with automatic translation. And you guys did this workshop the other day was amazing. Saying, say, okay, now you implement in one language, and then using automatic translation, you actually have your conversational AI with multiple languages. I mean, hundreds
Almost,
of languages.
I think
Yes.
we do 107 at this moment, 107 different languages.
That's amazing. By combining, let's say, different AIs, right, and then productizing the whole solution under Seamly, I think is a brilliant idea. One of the things that we have seen is more and more kind of digital channels, kind of converging, right, and converging with voice base, right. So we have seen the voice world. Deal with call centers, IVRs, these kind of interfaces. How do you think these digital channels and voice channels are converging? So how? What is your experience on that?
Yeah, I think they're converging quite rapidly and also in a quite successful manner. Well, even we just introduced a voice bot based on the Embenta platform a couple of, 2 weeks ago for an international client, directly, by the way, in 4 different languages, indeed. And what my view on that market is that text to speech and speech to text wasn't that great, let's say 10 years ago. But in the last couple of years, text to speech has become extremely natural. So there are quite some good voices available, and speech to text services have become pretty spot on as well. So if we look at what happened in, let's say, maybe 10 years or 5 years ago, there was also a necessity where things needed to be optimized and needed to be, let's say, put in a separately managed and continuously needed to be optimized for that. And while if we look at the current available text-to-speech and speech-to-text technology, and if we add that to the conversational platforms that we supercharge, then you have full flexibility and fully reusability of what you already offer on your website with the chatbot, the recognition, and the answers, and reuse that maximally on the phone. And that creates a lot of that creates a lot of content, helps organizations tremendously in flexibility and in the creation and optimization of content.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like at some point, voice is going to be considered yet another digital channel because it's being digitalized very quickly by services, as you say, right? The speech
Yeah,
to text technology is improving, and speed is everything, right? When we
yeah,
humans are talking to each other in our own natural languages, English, Spanish, Dutch, whatever, we are really fast at understanding each other if you speak the language, of course.
hmm
And machines, well, still not there, but they're getting better very, very quickly. I
yeah,
really, really agree on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
And I think what the essential part is, and what we always aim for, is that we look at what we can digitize in a conversation and where the human can actually, or the human agent can actually add a lot of value, and make sure that even in a phone call we digitize the, uh, let's say boring part of the conversation, where you need identification of the user, ask for his question. Maybe the user should even go through a rather old classic IVR menu, like press 1 for this, press 2, and if you have to wait for option number 6, then
And you
well,
don't
then you're
remember what was
frustrated.
option number two.
Absolutely. Then you're either going to choose for the different option, the wrong option, or you're going to be irritated already. Um, so that's why we also make sure that we always make sure that the digital part of the conversation seamlessly works together with the agent, and the agent can pick up the conversation where the preparation has
Yeah.
left it off for him or her.
And sometimes I've been in, maybe not lately, but at some point I had a conversation like, hey, what about AI? Is AI taking away jobs and yada yada? You know, there's a story about artificial intelligence. And what I say is AI is here to free humans from boring jobs. And I like that you
Absolutely.
use the word boring, because that's exactly what AI does, is take away what is boring and free humankind to do what is interesting, and
Yeah.
there's creativity and there's value in human communications, right? So
Yeah.
if you're able to have AI working on all that, that's essentially a value that you're adding, and you improve the scalability of businesses. And what do you think is the role of artificial intelligence and all that, and how do you see this trend? How's that
Yeah.
evolving?
Yeah, I think we would hardly be able to live in a world without AI. That already starts with the smaller touch points that you have with your, let's say, smartphone, for instance, or traffic jam expect or predictions. So I think there are a lot of things that we've become so used to that we would struggle quite a bit if we have to drop all that. And I think AI in all its different shapes and sizes has become in that manner such an important element of how users also interact with technology, that AI in some cases also helps the end user to maximally use that technology available. Um, and from organizational point of view, I think that AI especially reduces, of course, costs, but also improves staff retention and customer loyalty, and with that increases revenue and even customer satisfaction. So,
Yes. Mhm.
and all those elements, if you choose not to supercharge them with AI, then you're gonna have quite some struggles in the market, and if compared to your competitors.
That's right. And when I was in college, I got specialized with what it was back then, artificial intelligence. That's a while back. And one of the things that we learned is when you have this technology which is in the space of artificial intelligence, and then it works, and then everybody uses it, nobody thinks that is artificial intelligence
No,
anymore.
no,
Because I remember that back then, one of the artificial intelligence problems that we were dealing with was finding the optimal path between different route alternative, right? And today we take Apple Maps, the Google Maps, and we assume we take it for granted that's there.
yeah,
But that used to be called artificial intelligence, and indeed they are using a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence to predict with extremely accuracy. When are you going to arrive, right? So
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. And yeah, like that, we cannot live already without artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So totally here, it's here to stay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
even if you look at new technology that has been adopted, well, in the intro I told you that I have 2 kids, and I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago that my daughter was in first, well, she started practicing math or calculations, and there was one day that she asked me, "With how many people are we going to go on our holiday?" And I asked her, "Well, what do you think?" And she said, "I think we're going to go with 6." I said, "With 6? How do you get to 6? Because with how many are we in our family?" She said 4. I said, "But 4 is not 6, right?" No, but we have a dog. I said, "Okay, but if we add 1 to 4, where do we get?" "Well, we're at 5. But 5 isn't 6, right?" No. And then I asked, "Who's the 6th person then in our family?" "Google."
oh boy.
She expected that that our Google Assistant, of course, would join us on our holiday as well
Oh
as
boy,
being.
that's
Yeah,
cute and terrifying at the same time, right?
exactly. Yeah. It worried me as well from one side. Yeah,
Oh, that's amazing. So
yeah,
we know each other, right? And we've been working with Seamly together with Inventa and different customers. Actually, we met because a common customer, which is amazing, right? When the
yeah,
customers start have these building blocks of technology. So I just and you can be as cruel as you want, right? But how has it been working with Inventa and this and all this projects?
yeah. But there are 3 things that really struck us, and I think and that really were impressed with. The first one is that the manner that the way your engine automatically prepares content and is really, well, pretty impressive in how certain answers are already prepared. And secondly, is the way that we can cluster content and, well, use that for intent recognition. So for instance, in the voice bot example that we develop on your platform, if the user on the phone shares what the question is, then based on the organization of content in Inventa, we can already derive the fact that maybe it's a question about, well, a specific, well, about a product, and then even name the specific product itself that it concerns. So that's really impressive. And lastly, to be honest, no matter how good technology is, it's a big differentiator is always the human side of working together. And what we really like is that the way we can share challenges or ideas and even get to conclusions or get to suggestion or solutions jointly. And sometimes that's a solution that can already be used if we organize things differently, or sometimes it's a solution that is being put on your roadmap. And, well, that's something, the human side is something that we're really enjoying that.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And as I said, we've seen applications that you have built within Benda and other integrating other technologies. And it's like, what? That looks amazing. And especially the touch that you give to this user experience is amazing. Yeah, it's such a pleasure working with you guys. So let's talk about future. How do you think the future of customer service will be? Which, by the way, is the name of
Yeah.
this podcast, right? How is your vision about where things are going to be in the next 5 to 15 years?
Yeah. Well, 5 to 15 is quite a challenge. But if we look at the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years, I think that especially from the user side, a further increase of self-service will be realized. If we look at data, if we look at current data, then about 2/3 of all the customers that have a question actually try to find that answer to that question themselves. but in over 60%, they can't find their answer or what they're looking for, and still need to reach out to a company. And then maybe call, and then or the company picks up the telephone call and thinks, oh, this is the first contact point. Let's try to fix it in a one-stop shop. First time fix is something that companies use a lot. But I think what companies aren't realizing good enough is that actual phone call in 2/3 of all the, well, let's say 60% of all the cases, is actually already a second attempt. So further increase of self-service is something that we're expecting. Also, with that, conversational based technology will help to facilitate that, where a user submits a question and then actually that question is being interpreted and provided with one answer, rather than a list of 10 or tens or even hundreds articles where the answer may be included, but it's something. But I think that's not going to be accepted by end users in a couple of years anymore. Seamless handovers to agents. If still assistance is required, that is going to be a necessity. If you don't have that as an organization, I don't think you'll be considered as as a valuable organization, or even as an organization that respects its clients. And those seamless handovers to either live chat, they can also become cross-channel. So if I'm having a conversation with a virtual assistant, and maybe I want something emphasized, or I have a specific question, that I can even switch to either a phone call where the agent on the phone already knows what we've shared digitally with the virtual assistant. So that's something that I can see, that I expect to be coming. And well, from the business side, shortage of personnel is going to be a challenge, where I think that what we expect is that a lot of attention is going to be spent on how can we facilitate and optimize the journey for the agent. Where can we remove the boring parts of the job, but also the parts that can be automated, and making sure that working in, let's say, customer service specific department is better than working at the customer service department of your competitor, for instance. And with that, and with the last 2 years, of course, that we went through, remote working has boosted further potential for internationalization of customer care as well, where indeed language barriers can fully be evaporated by using automated translational services that we do for our clients.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so that those are some examples of developments indeed that we see happening with our
Totally. That's great. Listen, I would stay here for hours talking to you about because I believe we share this passion, right, about AI, user experience, but we have some limitations on time here in our podcast. So what I would like to ask you is, for the audience that is listening to this now, how could they contact you? How could they contact Endre David? That might sound bad, but it's my best attempt. So how can the audience contact you?
Well, of course, I can be found on LinkedIn. Probably my name will be in the screen. There aren't too many Endre Davidses in the world, so that can't be that much of a challenge. And of course, Endre at Seamly.ai, and then Endre is spelled with Endre. So in Dutch it's Endre, but in Spanish it's Andres, and in English it's Andre. So I'm fully okay with.
All right. Yeah,
it's it's spelled with an
E. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my mother tongue, I'm Catalan, originally from Barcelona. So in our language is Andreu. So go figure. So there's Andres in Spanish, Andreu, and I think there's the similar names exist in all around the European languages.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Really a pleasure. Let's keep in touch. And this for the audience of this podcast. Very soon we're going to be having more interesting. We're going to try to keep this as interesting as with Andre Witsi, but we're very excited about having Andre today here with us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Andre, and see you in the next podcast. Bye bye.
Bye bye.